Bonjour, Kinamagin Dijnikas, and welcome to today's edition from the MyMath Network. Today's episode, Chapter 12, Lesson 11, Volume of Composite Figures. The essential question for all of Chapter 12 is, how does geometry help me solve problems in everyday life? In order to complete this task today, you will need a Lesson 11 packet, and that begins on page 967 and has a picture of the Arc de Triomphe from Paris as part of it. You may also wish to have a calculator available, as there will be some extensive math to be completed. If you need to pause the video to get these items, you may do so now. Welcome back. We're going to begin with investigating the math. This is not yet in your book or paper packet. What strategies might you try to find the volume of composite figures? Well, if you remember from yesterday's lesson, we had to break these apart and get the measurements. So I would take this particular rectangular prism and measure this way, and that way. And then on this rectangular prism, this way, and that way. And then I would add them together. So find the volume of the composite figures shown below. I found the steps below. So we have 3, 4, and 6. And that's going to give us 72. Over here we have 5 times 5 times 11, which is going to be 25 times 11. And that math comes out to 275. Add it to the 72. Well, I kind of got ahead of this here. But you can see the formula. So the volume in here, and then add them together. So 72 and 275, 347 meters cubed. Or cubic meters, however you want to read that. But make sure you write it with the units, which is the M from right here. And the superscript 3. If you're wondering, like, why are we cubic meters? Because this is technically 3 meters times 4 meters times 6 meters, and meters times meters times meters is meters cubed. That's where that comes from. So the volume of this composite figure is 240 cubic feet. Find the missing measure. So that's another thing we can do, is we can say, all right, we need to find, I'm going to write it this way. We know that we have volume equals length times base times height plus the other one. So we have 240. That's our equal. So I'm going to subtract the volume of the one we know, which is going to be 25 times 8. So minus 200. So now I have 240 minus 200. So we know that this area is 40 over here. Then we have 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times what is 40? Well, it's 2. So that's going to be our answer. 2 feet. Remember, if you're using multiplying and adding, sometimes you might have to do the inverse, which would have been subtracting and division. All right, let's begin in the text here. We have some vocabulary words here highlighted on the top of 967. It says a composite figure is made up of 2 or more 3-dimensional figures, just like it was yesterday. Find the volumes, separate the figure into figures with volumes you know how to find. So the Arc de Triomphe in Paris is roughly the shape of the composite figure shown. Find the volume. So what we have here is going to be 3 different prisms. And we'll break this down as 17 times 32 times 24. We're going to do 2 of those. And then we also have 50 times 24 times 22. And then we'll add them together. You may notice that these two pieces are going to be congruent. So if you find the measure for one, you have found the measure for the other. So on the first one, you're going to multiply 17 times 24 times 32. You can do that by hand, or you can use your calculator. And you're going to see that we get 13,056 twice. And then 50 times 24 times 22 is 26,400. And you're going to add all three of these up. Make sure you line them up so you can go down to ones, the tens, regroup. Sorry, you have the hundreds, and then the thousands and 10,000s. Once you add them together, you get 52,512. And if the volume is to be written as cubic yards or as yards cubed, go ahead and write that in. And in any case, during these lessons, if there's a spot where I'm moving a little too fast, you may pause the video and be able to go backwards on it. Or pause the video and start it when you're ready to move on. All right, so that completes 967. Let's turn on to 968 with example niche. Find the volume of the composite figure. So we have two different figures here, a 2, a 0.2, and another 2. And this one is 4 times 0.2. And so 0.2 times 2 is 0.4 times 2.2 is 0.88. Then you have 4 times 0.2 is 0.8. Or if you multiply the non-zero digits, count the number of decimal spots. That's where you go. So 8.88 plus 0.8 or 0.80 going to be 1.68 meters cubed. Go ahead and make sure that's written in. Give you a moment to do that. All right, so let's move on to the next one, the guided practice. So you have the bottom prism, which is going to be 126 times 11. And then you have a 9, a 2, and a 5. And so they've kind of done the math for you using the associative property. 9 times 5 is a pretty simple one. It's 45 times 2. I'll bring these numbers up for you. So 126 times 11 is 1,386. This little piece is 90. You add them together, you get 1,476. Go ahead and cover that in. How is volume related to the operation of addition? Unless you have a perfectly rectangular prism, you're going to need to add parts of it. All right, so now we're going to hit the independent practice. And for 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, what you'll do is you'll pause the video, do the math, and then come back and check how you did on those problems. So go ahead and pause the video, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. 330 cubic meters and 144 cubic centimeters. So 5 times 6 times 8, 3 times 5 times 6. Let me get these pieces here. Notice that these pieces were the same at 12 times 2. All right, let's go ahead and numbers 4 and 5. You may pause the video and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. If you had 280 cubic yards, 295.5 cubic feet for our 2 right answers. And one more pair. You may pause the video now. Welcome back. We get some bigger numbers, 2,316. And then we have 60 cubic millimeters. So to do the homework today, you're going to get the formula, length times width times height. You're going to break these parts down here. Pretty simple one if you have the concept. And as always, you'll turn this in with your name on it in the classroom. If you are outside the classroom, you could choose to scan it with your name on it and email it to me at mireland@psychchipschool.net, or you may take a picture on both sides and send me a text. Hope everyone has a minute of God. Minwa, Pamapi.